Captain Taman stood on the bridge of the Harmony Dawn, watching the stars streak past the viewport. He was a tall man with gray touching his temples, his uniform crisp and clean. 15 years ago, Earth had joined the Galactic Coalition, and everything had changed. Humans now traveled among the stars, meeting species they had only dreamed about. But not everything was perfect. Lieutenant He-Jin approached him, her datapad glowing in her hands. She was younger than the captain, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Sir, I'm seeing increased pirate activity in Sector 7. The reports show at least 20 vessels moving in coordinated patterns." Taman frowned. "Have you reported this to Coalition Security?" "Yes, sir. 3 times." He-Jin's voice carried frustration. "They dismissed it, said humans worry too much. That we see threats where there are none." This was the problem. The Coalition saw humans as weak. When Earth joined the galactic community, they had done so through peaceful negotiation, not military conquest like most other species. The aliens had studied human biology and found them wanting. Humans had fragile bones compared to the crystalline Korthan. Their skin was thin, not armored like the reptilian Voskar. They had no natural weapons, no claws or venomous spines. To the Coalition, humans were soft mammals, good for entertainment and menial work, but nothing more. Ambassador Yuna entered the bridge, her formal robes flowing behind her. She was Earth's chief representative, a woman who believed deeply in peaceful integration. "Captain, are we on schedule for the summit?" "Yes, Ambassador. We'll reach Terminus 7 in 4 hours." "Good." Yuna smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "This summit is important. We need to show the Coalition that humans can contribute more than just labor and art." Taman understood her frustration. For 15 years, humans had been assigned the lowest positions in Coalition space. They worked as merchants, cooks, entertainers, and medical staff. Never military, never security. The Coalition had millions of soldiers from dozens of species, but not one human among them. The captain returned to his chair, his mind wandering to memories he tried to forget. Before joining the Coalition, he had been a soldier in Earth's continental wars. He had seen combat that would make most aliens sick, but that was the past. Earth wanted peace now. They wanted to prove they were civilized, even if it meant hiding what they truly were. Hours passed, and Terminus 7 grew larger on their screens. The planet was a border world, sitting at the edge of Coalition space. Its surface was covered in silver cities that gleamed under 2 suns. Hundreds of ships orbited the planet, representing every major species in the Coalition. "Quite a gathering," He-Jin observed. "The biggest summit in 5 years," Yuna said. "Every council member will be here, even the Vorthans." Taman knew about the Vorthans. They were insectoid creatures with chitinous armor and multiple limbs. Their representative, Krelvor, had been particularly vocal about keeping humans in their place. He believed mammals were inherently inferior. As they entered orbit, Taman noticed something odd. His military instincts, buried but not dead, began to tingle. "He-Jin, run a deep scan of the system. Something feels wrong." The lieutenant's fingers flew across her console. "Sir, I'm picking up anomalies at the system's edge. Multiple large masses moving slowly inward." Before Taman could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed on every console. He-Jin's face went pale as she read her screens. "Captain, multiple hostile vessels decloaking. It's the Ravager fleet." The viewport exploded with light as dozens of warships appeared from nowhere. They were ugly vessels, cobbled together from stolen technology and wrapped in weapons. The Ravagers were pirates, the scourge of the outer systems. But they had never attacked a Coalition world before. Never attacked with this many ships. "How many?" Taman demanded. 40 capital ships, sir. Plus twice that in fighters and bombers." He-Jin's voice shook. They're targeting the planet and all orbital stations. Ambassador Yuna grabbed the captain's chair. They can't do this. This is a diplomatic summit. There are rules. But pirates didn't care about rules. The first missiles launched, streaking toward the silver cities below. Coalition defense ships scrambled to respond, but they were caught completely off guard. The Harmony Dawn shook as nearby vessels exploded. Coalition Command is ordering all civilian vessels to evacuate immediately, Hyejin reported. That includes us, sir. Tae-min watched the chaos unfold on his screens. Coalition warships were breaking formation, retreating in disorder. Some were already fleeing the system entirely. On the planet's surface, he could see explosions starting to bloom in the cities. How many civilians are on Terminus 7? He asked quietly. Hyejin checked. 15,000, sir, plus 200 civilian ships still in orbit. Coalition reinforcements? 48 hours away minimum. How long can the planet hold? 6 hours, maybe less. Ambassador Yuna touched his shoulder. Captain, we need to leave. We're not a warship. We can't help here. Tae-min turned to look at her. How many humans are in this system right now, Ambassador? Yuna blinked, surprised by the question. I don't know. A few thousand? They work on stations, cargo ships, various civilian positions. The captain nodded slowly. His decision was made. Lieutenant Hyejin, open a channel, encrypted, human frequencies only. Override all entertainment and commercial bans. Sir? Hyejin looked confused. Do it. The lieutenant obeyed. A confirmation light showed the channel was open, broadcasting to every human device in the system. Tae-min stood, straightening his uniform. When he spoke, his voice was hard as iron, nothing like the diplomatic captain the aliens knew. This is Captain Tae-min of the Harmony Dawn. Authentication code Delta 77 Omega. To all veterans in range, this is not a drill. Old soldiers, it's time to wake up. Terminus 7, 4 hours. Bring everything you have. He closed the channel. Silence filled the bridge. Yuna stared at him in shock. Captain, what are you doing? We're supposed to evacuate. Tae-min looked at the planet below, at the cities being bombarded, at the civilians dying while coalition forces ran away. He thought of his years as a soldier, of the oath he had taken so long ago. Some promises never expired. Ambassador, with respect, humans don't leave people behind. Not when we can fight. Fight? Yuna's voice rose. We're not warriors. The coalition knows this. We're peaceful. For the first time in 15 years, Tae-min smiled the way he used to smile before battles. It was not a kind expression. No, Ambassador, we're not peaceful. We're just very, very tired of war. But when there's no other choice... He turned to Hyejin. Sound general quarters, break out the armory. It's time the galaxy learned what humans really are. On the view screen, the Ravager fleet continued its attack, confident in their overwhelming numbers. They had no idea what was about to hit them. The harmless humans were about to become something else entirely. Sergeant Dong-hyun was cleaning tables in the Coalition Station's food court when he heard the message. His hands stopped moving. The cleaning cloth fell to the floor. For 15 years, he had served food to aliens who looked at him like he was nothing. A servant. A harmless human doing harmless work. His fingers reached for the old tattoo on his forearm, hidden under his sleeve. The symbol of the Marine Corps. The symbol of everything he used to be. Delta 77 Omega, he whispered. That was Captain Tae-min's voice. Tae-min, who had served with him during the Martian Rebellion. Old soldiers, it's time to wake up. Dong-hyun didn't hesitate. He walked to the back room, opened his locker, and pulled out a hidden panel. Inside was a combat knife, its edge still perfect after all these years. Some things you never forget how to maintain. Across the station, in a medical bay, Dr. Minna heard the same message. She was treating a Corthan patient who had injured himself in a simple fall. The crystalline creature complained constantly, as if a broken limb was the worst thing in the universe. Minna had once performed surgery in a bunker while artillery shells exploded overhead. She knew what real pressure felt like. "I'm sorry," she told the Corthan patient. "I need to leave. Another doctor will help you." "You can't leave. I'm in pain." Minna was already moving. "You'll survive. Trust me. I know the difference." In a cargo bay, a woman named Su Jin was checking inventory when the message came through. She was small, barely over 5 feet tall, with hands that moved with practiced precision. The aliens thought she was just another warehouse worker. They didn't know she held the record for the longest confirmed kill in human military history. 3 kilometers, 1 shot, impossible wind conditions. She smiled. It had been a long time since anyone had asked her to shoot something. Private Jin Ho was the youngest, working as a technician on a communications array. He had only 3 years of service before Earth joined the coalition, but he remembered his training. He remembered the drills, the discipline, the brotherhood. When he heard Tae-min's voice, something inside him that had been sleeping suddenly roared back to life. All across the Terminus 7 system, humans stopped what they were doing. A cargo hauler captain named Sung Min set his ship's autopilot and began checking weapons systems he had kept hidden for years. A restaurant owner named Ji Woo closed his shop and opened a secret storage unit filled with combat gear. A station engineer named Hyun Woo accessed maintenance tunnels that led to the reactor cores, already planning where to place charges if needed. Within 1 hour, 30 human vessels began converging on Terminus 7. They looked like civilian ships from the outside. Cargo haulers, personal transports, mining vessels, even a luxury yacht. But their crews were anything but civilian. On the Harmony Dawn, Tae-min watched the response with satisfaction. Lieutenant Hae-jin stood beside him, her expression shifting from shock to understanding. "Sir, we're receiving confirmation signals from 32 human ships. They're all veterans. What are their capabilities? 3 ships have military-grade weapons still installed. The rest have civilian equipment, but..." Hae-jin paused, checking her data. "They're all requesting docking with our supply depot. They want to retrofit. Give them everything we have: missiles, railgun components, shield generators. Empty our armory if you have to." Ambassador Yuna watched in disbelief. "Captain, where did all these veterans come from? I thought we sent mostly civilians to Coalition space." Tae-min turned to her. "We did, Ambassador, but everyone who volunteered to come out here had military experience. Earth's leaders weren't stupid. They knew we might need defenders someday. They just didn't advertise it. But the Coalition..." "The Coalition never asked," Tae-min interrupted. "They looked at our medical records, saw our biological weaknesses, and assumed we were prey. They never asked about our history, never asked what we had survived." On his screen, human ships were already beginning modifications. Cargo containers were being converted into missile pods. Mining lasers were being recalibrated for combat. Personal shields were being networked into defensive grids. The efficiency was stunning. These people had been waiting for this moment. Sergeant Dong-hyun arrived on the Harmony Dawn 2 hours after the call. He stepped onto the bridge in combat gear that still fit perfectly after 15 years. Behind him came others, all in various forms of military equipment. They looked different now, not like servants or entertainers. They looked like what they truly were: soldiers. "Reporting for duty." "Captain," Dong-hyun said, saluting. Tae-min returned the salute. "How many Marines do we have?" 147, sir. Not all current military, but all with combat experience. Dr. Mina is setting up a field hospital on Deck 7. She's brought 12 other medical personnel. Weapons? Limited, but workable. We've got rifles, explosives, breaching equipment. Su Jin says she can outfit a sniper team within the hour. Hae-jin pulled up the tactical display. "Captain, the Ravager fleet has 40 capital ships. We have 32 vessels, most lightly armed. The math doesn't work. Taemin studied the screen. The Ravagers had surrounded the planet, bombarding it methodically. Coalition forces had completely withdrawn, leaving Terminus 7 to die. The pirates were taking their time, enjoying their victory. The math never works, Lieutenant. It didn't work at Thermopylae, at the Alamo, at Bastonia, but humans don't fight with math. We fight with stubbornness. One of the retrofitted cargo ships opened a channel. The captain's face appeared on screen. An older man named Jae-won, with scars crossing his face. Captain Taemin, this is Commander Jae-won. I'm taking tactical command of the civilian fleet, if you'll have me. You were Navy? First Contact War, before the Coalition knew we existed. Jae-won's expression was grim. I know what you're planning. It's suicide. Probably. Good. I was getting bored anyway. Jae-won grinned. I've organized the fleet into 3 strike groups. We won't win a straight fight, so we won't fight straight. Human tactics, human rules. Taemin nodded. What's our timeline? The planet has maybe 4 hours left before the shields fail. After that, it's massacre. We need to hit them now. Agreed. Hyejin, broadcast to all human ships. General channel. The lieutenant opened the frequency. Taemin spoke clearly, knowing every veteran in the system could hear him. This is Captain Taemin. In 15 minutes, we're going to attack a force 3 times our size. The Coalition thinks we're weak. The Ravagers think we're easy prey. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate humans. Let's show them what veterans do. He paused, then added, most of you joined the Coalition to escape war. I'm sorry to drag you back into it, but there are 15,000 civilians down there who need us, and we're the only ones left who give a damn. Responses came flooding in. Not words. Just confirmation signals. Every ship, every veteran agreeing to fight impossible odds. Dr. Minna's voice came through from the medical bay. Captain, I'm ready for casualties. Lots of casualties. Let's hope there aren't many, Doctor. Sir, with respect, we're humans attacking a pirate fleet. There will be casualties. Just make sure they're mostly theirs. The Ravager fleet sent a transmission. It was their admiral, a reptilian creature named Zethrol, known for his brutality. His face filled the screen, scaled and cold. Humans? The Coalition sent humans to stop us? This is their great defense? He laughed, a hissing sound. Soft little mammals. This will be entertaining. We'll use your ships for target practice. Taemin didn't respond. He simply closed the channel and turned to his crew. All ships, attack formation. Hyejin, plot intercept course. Donghyun, prepare boarding parties. Sir, Hyejin said softly, they're going to kill us. Maybe. Taemin sat in his captain's chair, calm and ready. But, Lieutenant, we're going to make them work for it. And in about 10 minutes, they're going to learn a very important lesson. What lesson, sir? That the most dangerous creature in the universe isn't the one that looks fearsome. It's the one that chooses mercy but remembers how to fight. The human fleet began to move, 32 ships against 40. The Ravagers watched them come, confident and mocking. They had no idea what was about to hit them. They thought they were fighting civilians. They were about to meet Earth's veterans instead. The human fleet charged directly at the Ravager formation, and every alien watching thought they were seeing a suicide run. Coalition observers, watching from safe distances, shook their heads in pity. The soft humans were going to die, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. They were wrong. At 5,000 kilometers, the Ravagers opened fire. Energy beams and missiles filled space, enough firepower to vaporize the small human fleet. But the humans didn't fly in straight lines. Their ships twisted and spun, moving in patterns that seemed random but weren't. Lieutenant Hyejin had programmed flight paths based on atmospheric fighter combat, dogfighting maneuvers that no one used in space battles. Because they shouldn't work in space. But human pilots made them work anyway. 3 missiles passed within meters of the Harmony Dawn. The crew felt the heat through the hull. But Tae-min's ship kept flying, kept closing the distance. Beside them, Commander Jae-won's cargo hauler rolled completely over, letting a beam weapon pass underneath, then fired its improvised railgun at point-blank range into a Ravager destroyer. The destroyer's shields held, but barely. The Ravagers were confused. These tactics made no sense. "All ships, spread formation," Jae-won commanded. "Make them divide their fire. Don't let them concentrate on any single target." The human ships scattered like leaves in wind, but it was controlled chaos. Each vessel knew exactly where to go, how to move, when to shoot. They had trained for this kind of warfare on Earth, where resources were limited and every shot had to count. Pilot Nari launched from the Harmony Dawn in a small fighter craft. She was 26 years old and had never expected to fly combat again. Behind her, 5 more human fighters launched, forming up with practiced ease. Their ships were old, barely armed, but Nari didn't care. She had flown worse. "Fighter squadron, target their sensor arrays," she ordered. "We can't destroy them, but we can blind them." Her fighters dove at a Ravager cruiser, threading through defensive fire with movements that defied physics, or seemed to. The truth was simple. Human pilots could withstand more G-forces than most species. What felt like a normal turn to Nari would have crushed a Vorthon pilot's organs. She fired her weapons, small pulse cannons that wouldn't scratch the cruiser's main armor, but she wasn't aiming for armor. Her shots struck sensor arrays, communication dishes, targeting systems. The expensive, delicate equipment that made warships effective. The cruiser went partially blind, spinning slowly as its crew tried to figure out what happened. Before they could recover, Sergeant Dong-hyun's boarding party arrived. His team used a cargo ship as cover, matching velocities with the disabled cruiser. Then they did something the Ravagers never expected. They used explosive charges to breach the hull and went inside on foot. "Breach successful," Dong-hyun reported, his voice calm despite the chaos. "Team 1, secure the corridor. Team 2, find the bridge. Remember your training. Tight formations, check corners, controlled fire." The Ravagers on board were reptilian pirates, strong and vicious, but they had never fought humans in close quarters. Dong-hyun's Marines moved through the ship like ghosts, using tactics developed in thousands of years of urban warfare. They used flashbangs, smoke grenades, and psychological warfare. One Marine would draw fire while 2 others flanked. They used the ship's own structure against the defenders, creating choke points and kill zones. When ammunition ran low, they switched to combat knives and hand-to-hand fighting. The Ravagers learned a terrifying truth. Humans knew hundreds of ways to kill without weapons. Strikes to nerve clusters, joint locks, chokeholds developed over millennia of martial arts. A human soldier with empty hands was still dangerous. Corporal Soo-jin set up her sniper position on an asteroid, a small piece of rock that gave her a perfect view of the battle. Her rifle was old but perfectly maintained. She had kept it clean for 15 years, just in case. Through her scope, she saw a Ravager command ship, larger than the others, covered in weapons. She saw its bridge, visible through armored windows. She saw the admiral inside, the one who had called humans soft. The distance was 4 kilometers. There was no atmosphere, but there was solar wind, gravitational fluctuations, and a dozen other factors. Soo-jin calculated them all in her head, made microscopic adjustments to her aim, and squeezed the trigger. The shot took 3 seconds to arrive. It punched through the command ship's window, supposedly unbreakable, and struck a control panel next to Admiral Zethral. The explosion threw him across the bridge. He survived, but the message was clear. Humans could reach out and touch you from impossible distances. The battle raged for hours. The Harmony Dawn took heavy damage, its shields failing. Hull breached in 3 places, but Tae-min kept fighting, kept coordinating, kept refusing to retreat. Around him, Human ships did the same. Some were destroyed, crews dying in explosions of light. But they took Ravager ships with them, and they never stopped fighting. Dr. Min-Ah worked in the medical bay, covered in blood from a dozen species. Human casualties came in steady streams: burns, shrapnel wounds, decompression injuries. She treated them all with calm efficiency, her hands steady despite the ship shaking from weapons impacts. "Doctor, we're running out of blood supplies," a nurse warned. "Then synthesize more. Use the medical fabricator. If that fails, I'll donate my own." Min-Ah didn't look up from the soldier she was treating. "No one dies because we ran out of supplies. Not today." The Ravagers were learning painful lessons. Their numerical advantage didn't matter when humans used guerrilla tactics. Their superior firepower was useless when human pilots flew through attack patterns instead of around them. Their heavy armor meant nothing when humans boarded their ships and killed crews from inside. Commander Jae-won watched his tactical display, seeing patterns the Ravagers didn't. "Captain Tae-min, their formation is weakening. They're pulling ships from the planetary bombardment to fight us." "That was the plan," Tae-min replied. "Keep pressure on them, make them choose between us and the planet." "Sir, we've lost 8 ships. The Ravagers have lost 22, but they can afford the losses. We can't. Then we better make every remaining ship count." Private Jin Ho, the youngest of the veterans, found himself operating a weapons console when the regular gunner was injured. His hands shook as missiles and beams filled the view screen. He had trained for this, but training wasn't the same as real combat. "Steady, Jin Ho," Hyojin said beside him. "Pick your targets. Breath before you shoot, just like the range." "This isn't the range, Lieutenant." "No, it's easier. The targets are much bigger." Jin Ho laughed despite his fear. He targeted a Ravager bomber, waited for the perfect moment, and fired. Direct hit. The bomber exploded, taking 2 others with it in a chain reaction. Jin Ho stared at his console in shock. "See?" Yi-jin smiled. "You're a natural." After 14 hours of continuous combat, something changed. The Ravager fleet began to pull back, ships breaking formation and withdrawing. Admiral Zethral, bleeding from a dozen wounds, watched his tactical display in disbelief. He had started with 40 ships. Now he had 18 still combat-capable. The humans had started with 32 ships and had 24 still fighting. How was that possible? His communications officer, terrified, turned to him. "Admiral, the humans won't stop. They're still attacking. They should be exhausted." But humans didn't exhaust like other species. They were persistence hunters, evolved to chase prey until it died from exhaustion. While Ravager crews needed rest cycles, human crews rotated positions and kept fighting. While Ravager ships needed to withdraw to repair, human engineers fixed damage during battle. The final attack came from an unexpected direction. Nari led her fighter squadron directly at the command ship, flying so close to friendly vessels that she used them as shields. The Ravagers couldn't shoot without hitting their own ships. At the last second, her squadron scattered and fired everything they had at the command ship's engines. The massive vessel shuddered, its propulsion failing, leaving it dead in space. "Admiral," the communications officer said, voice trembling, "we need to retreat. Now." Zethral looked at the battlefield, at the burning wrecks of his fleet, at the humans who kept coming no matter what he threw at them. He thought of the legends from other pirates, whispered stories about humans that he had dismissed as myths. "Send a priority message to all Ravager channels," he ordered. "Warn them about humans. They are not prey. They are not weak. They are—" He searched for words. "They are something we should never have woken up." The Ravager fleet retreated, jumping to faster-than-light speeds and abandoning the system. Behind them, the human fleet held position, battered but unbroken. On Terminus 7, the bombardment had stopped. 15,000 civilians were safe. Captain Tae-min sat in his damaged chair, surrounded by smoke and sparks, and allowed himself a small smile. Around the galaxy, the message was already spreading. The soft humans, the harmless mammals, had defended a coalition world when the coalition itself had run away. And they had won. Admiral Krentok arrived at Terminus 7 36 hours after the battle ended, expecting to find a destroyed world and scattered debris. Instead, he found something that made his crystalline body structure vibrate with confusion. The planet was intact. The orbital stations were functioning, and humans were everywhere, coordinating rescue operations with efficiency that seemed impossible. His flagship, the Coalition Pride-class cruiser Unity's Voice, moved slowly through the debris field. Ravager Rex floated among the wreckage of human ships. His sensors officer provided the count. Admiral, 22 confirmed Ravager capital ship kills. 8 human vessels destroyed. Current human casualties are 437 wounded, 68 dead. Krentok was 300 years old and had commanded fleets in a dozen conflicts. These numbers didn't make sense. Verify those figures. Already verified 3 times, sir. The humans, they won. On the planet's surface, Dr. Minna worked in a temporary hospital, treating coalition civilians who had been wounded in the bombardment. Her medical teams had been the first to reach the cities, moving with practiced speed while coalition rescue ships were still organizing. A Vorthan child, injured in the attack, looked up at her with multiple eyes filled with fear. Are the bad people gone? Yes, little one, the bad people are gone. Did the coalition soldiers beat them? Minna paused, then smiled gently. No, sweetheart. Humans beat them. But humans are weak. Teacher said so. Your teacher was wrong. Captain Tae-min stood on the bridge of his damaged ship, accepting a communication from Admiral Krentok. The coalition commander appeared on screen, his crystalline face difficult to read, but his voice carried shock. Captain Tae-min, I am at a loss for words. You engaged a Ravager fleet with civilian vessels and survived. This should not have been possible. Yet here we are, Admiral. I need a full explanation. The Coalition Council demands to know how humans achieved this victory. Tae-min looked at the debris floating past his viewport. Admiral, you never asked about our history. You looked at our biology and assumed we were weak. You never asked what we survived before joining the Coalition. Explain. So Tae-min did. He transmitted files that Earth had kept classified for 15 years. Files about human history, about wars that had consumed entire continents. He showed them footage of battles fought with primitive weapons, then advanced technology, then weapons so terrible that using them could destroy the entire planet. Ambassador Yuna arrived on the Harmony Dawn, her diplomatic robes replaced with practical work clothes. She had spent the last day helping with rescue operations, and now she faced the political firestorm that was coming. Captain, the Coalition Council is convening an emergency session. They want you to testify. About what? We defended a coalition world when they abandoned it. That's the problem. We embarrassed them. Some council members are calling for human expulsion from the coalition. They say we're too dangerous. Tae-min turned to face her. They're afraid. Yes, the Vorthans especially. Krelvor is demanding that human space be quarantined. Of course he is. Can't have the soft mammals showing up the mighty coalition military. 3 days later, the Coalition Council gathered on the station orbiting Terminus 7. The chamber was massive, designed to hold representatives from 47 species. Humans had 1 seat given to Ambassador Yuna. But today, the chamber was packed with observers. Everyone wanted to see what would happen to the species that had changed everything. Tae-min was called to testify, standing in the center of the chamber while alien eyes from a dozen species watched him. Admiral Krentok presented the battle data, and the chamber erupted in disbelief. Impossible! Krelvor, the Vorthan representative, clicked his mandibles in anger. Humans are prey species. They have no natural weapons, no armor. This data must be falsified. Taemin spoke quietly, but his voice carried through the chamber. Counselor Krelvor, do you know how many wars humans have fought against each other? That is irrelevant. Over 14,000 major conflicts in recorded history. We've fought in every environment imaginable: oceans, deserts, frozen wastelands, jungles, cities, even in space. We've developed more ways to kill each other than most species have words. He transmitted images to the chamber's displays. Battlefields from human history, ancient warriors with swords, medieval sieges, world wars with millions dead, nuclear explosions, biological weapons, cyber warfare. We didn't join the coalition because we were weak, Taemin continued. We joined because we were tired of fighting ourselves. We wanted to be better, so we hid what we were, worked humble jobs, and hoped the galaxy would let us be peaceful. Ambassador Yuna stood. But when civilians needed protection, and the coalition fled, our veterans remembered their duty. They didn't fight for glory or conquest. They fought because it was right. A representative from the Sorven species, a small mammalian race, spoke up. I must add something to these proceedings. 10 years ago, my homeworld was attacked by Ravagers. Coalition forces were delayed. We thought we would die. Then a ship appeared, unmarked, unknown. It destroyed the Ravager squadron and left without asking for payment or recognition. We've been searching for that ship ever since. The Sorven representative transmitted an image to the displays. It showed a human cargo vessel, old and battered, disappearing into faster-than-light travel. That was the merchant ship Bright Hope, Yuna said quietly. Crew of 15, all veterans. They happen to be in your system. More voices spoke up. A Korthan engineer mentioned a human cook who had saved his station during a pirate boarding, fighting with nothing but kitchen knives. A Malvine diplomat told of a human entertainer who had organized an evacuation during a disaster, saving 300 lives through pure leadership. The stories kept coming, dozens of them, hundreds. All across coalition space, humans had been quietly protecting others, never asking for recognition, never revealing their true nature. Colonel Byung-ho entered the chamber, and the entire room went silent. He was a large man, scarred from decades of combat, wearing the full-dress uniform of Earth's military. Behind him marched 50 soldiers in power armor, their weapons at rest but clearly visible. "This is an outrage," Krelvor shouted. "Bringing military forces into the council chamber." "Relax, Counselor," Byung-ho said calmly. "We're just an honor guard. But I think the council should know something. Earth's official military fleet just entered the system. 20 capital ships, all equipped with technology we've been developing while we pretended to be harmless. We hoped never to use them." The threat was clear, but unspoken. Earth had been preparing for this moment, for the day when the truth came out. They could defend themselves if necessary. Admiral Krentok stood, his crystalline body reflecting light across the chamber. This council must make a decision. Humanity has proven itself capable of great violence. The question is, do we fear this capability, or do we harness it? Krelvor responded immediately. "We must quarantine human space. They are too dangerous." But other voices disagreed. The Sorven representative, the species humans had saved, spoke passionately. "They saved us when no one else would. I vote to grant humans full military status in the coalition." The argument raged for hours. Some species demanded human expulsion, others wanted them as allies. The chamber was dividing, old alliances fracturing under the weight of this revelation. Lieutenant Hae-jin, watching from the observation deck, turned to Sergeant Dong-hyun. "What do you think will happen?" "Honestly, I think we're about to find out if the coalition can handle the truth about us. Some species will accept it, Others won't. But either way, we're not going back to pretending. No more hiding? No more hiding. In the chamber below, Ambassador Yuna made one final statement. This council can vote however it wishes. But understand this. Humans will continue to be what we've always been. Protectors when protection is needed. Warriors when war is necessary. And peaceful when peace is possible. We don't need your permission to be ourselves anymore. The vote was called. Each species representative cast their decision, and the results appeared on the chamber displays. It was close, incredibly close. But when the final count showed, humanity had been granted full military status in the coalition, but only by 3 votes. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species walked out in protest, others applauded. The coalition was fracturing before everyone's eyes, and at the center of it all were humans, the species everyone had thought was harmless. Captain Tai Min left the chamber with Yuna, both exhausted. What happens now, Ambassador? Now? Now we prove we can be trusted with this responsibility. Some species will test us, try to provoke us. We need to show restraint. And if restraint doesn't work? Yuna smiled grimly. Then we show them why humans are very, very good at warfare, but only as a last resort. In orbit above Terminus 7, Colonel Byung-ho stood on his flagship's bridge, looking at Earth's military fleet. 20 ships today. But back home, hundreds more were being built just in case. Earth had learned a valuable lesson over the centuries. Hope for peace, but prepare for war. The galaxy was about to learn what that meant. 6 months after the Battle of Terminus 7, the galaxy remained divided. Some species embraced humanity's military strength, while others feared it. Trade routes were disrupted as different factions argued about what to do with the species that had changed everything. Captain Tai Min, now promoted to Admiral, stood in Earth's orbital command station, reviewing reports from across Coalition space. The news wasn't good. Admiral, we have another incident, Lieutenant Hae-jin reported. She had been promoted too, now serving as his intelligence officer. Vorthon patrols have been harassing human cargo vessels in the Outer Rim. Nothing violent yet, but they're making their disapproval clear. Any word from Ambassador Yuna? She's still on the Coalition capital trying to hold the alliance together, but it's not looking good. Half the species want us as military partners. The other half want us gone. Tai Min studied the star maps on his display. Something had been bothering him for weeks. The Ravagers had attacked Terminus 7 with unprecedented force, then retreated the moment they met real resistance. That wasn't normal pirate behavior. Hae-jin, pull up all Ravager activity from the past year. I want to see movement patterns. The lieutenant worked her console, bringing up data streams. After a moment, her face went pale. Admiral, you need to see this. The display showed hundreds of small Ravager raids across the outer systems, all following a pattern. They were probing defenses, testing response times, gathering intelligence. The attack on Terminus 7 hadn't been about conquest. It had been a test. They're preparing for something bigger, Tai Min said quietly. The Coalition has been ignoring it because they don't want to admit there's a threat they can't handle. How much bigger, sir? Before Tai Min could answer, alarms sounded throughout the station. A priority alert from Coalition deep space sensors. Hae-jin pulled up the data, and her hands started shaking. Admiral, multiple massive contacts at the Galactic Rim, over 200 capital ships. It's not just Ravagers. They've united multiple pirate factions. This is an invasion fleet. The Coalition Council was summoned for an emergency session. This time, no one argued about seating arrangements or protocol. The threat was too immediate. Ambassador Yuna stood before the assembly, her face grim. The invasion fleet will reach the core systems in 72 hours. Every species in this chamber is a target. We can fight together or die separately. Krelvor, The Vorthan, who had opposed humans so strongly, clicked his mandibles nervously. The Coalition military can handle this. We have 500 ships available. Against 200 pirate vessels? Ambassador Yuna shook her head. Your ships are designed for patrol and peacekeeping, not total war. The Ravagers have been preparing for this. They know how Coalition forces fight because they've been studying us. And you claim humans can help? I claim humans know how to fight a war. You know how to police space. There's a difference. Admiral Krentok stood, his crystalline body casting fractured light. Ambassador Yuna, what do humans propose? Let us train your forces. 72 hours isn't much, but it's enough to teach basic survival tactics. Let our veterans command mixed squadrons. Give us operational authority. The chamber erupted in argument. Some species agreed immediately. Others refused to take orders from the newcomers. The debate raged while precious time slipped away. Then an unexpected voice spoke. Elder Sorthel, a representative from the Inari species, rose slowly. He was 800 years old, his face lined with age, and he rarely spoke in council sessions. When he did, everyone listened. I must share something with this assembly. 50 years ago, my homeworld was attacked by pirates. We had no military, no defenses. We called for coalition help, but it arrived too late. We thought we would be destroyed. His voice, though quiet, carried to every corner of the chamber. Then a ship appeared. Not coalition. Not any species we recognized. It destroyed the attacking fleet and left without speaking. We saw the crew through our sensors. Bipedal mammals, physically weak but fighting with coordination that seemed impossible. Elder Sorthel transmitted an old recording. The chamber displays showed a human ship, its markings painted over, engaging a pirate squadron with tactics that seemed random but were devastatingly effective. That was humans, the elder continued. They saved us and asked nothing in return. They've been protecting this galaxy longer than any of us knew. More species came forward with similar stories. A merchant captain who had been saved by a human cook who turned out to be a veteran Marine. A mining station saved by a human technician who knew exactly how to rig explosives. A diplomatic mission rescued by a human entertainer who organized a defense using nothing but cargo containers and quick thinking. The evidence was overwhelming. Humans had been the Coalition's secret protectors for years. Krelvor sat down slowly, his resistance crumbling. If we give humans command authority, what guarantee do we have they won't use it for conquest? Taemin entered the chamber at that moment, having arrived from Earth's orbital station. His dress uniform carried ribbons and medals from decades of service, but his expression was humble. Counselor Krelvor, humans don't want to conquer you. We've spent thousands of years conquering each other, and it never brought anything but pain. We joined the Coalition to escape that cycle. But when someone threatens our friends, our neighbors, our allies, he paused. Then we remember what we're good at. The vote was called. This time, it wasn't close. Humanity was granted temporary command authority for the duration of the crisis. Every species, even the Vorthons, voted yes. Fear was a powerful motivator. Within hours, human veterans began arriving at Coalition military bases across the sector. Sergeant Dong Hyun found himself teaching Coalition Marines about close-quarters combat. Corporal Su Jin trained alien snipers in patience and precision. Dr. Min Ah organized medical teams that could handle mass casualties. Pilot Nari stood before a group of Coalition fighter pilots, Reptilian Voskar, Crystalline Korthan, and Insectoid Vorthans, all looking at her with skepticism. She was young, small, seemingly fragile, but when she started explaining combat tactics, they listened. Your training teaches you to avoid damage, she said. That makes sense. Your species are tough. But Coalition ships are expensive. But here's what humans learned the hard way. Sometimes you have to take hits to win. The trick is knowing which hits you can survive. She showed them recordings from the Terminus 7 battle, demonstrating how human pilots used their own ships as shields, accepted damage to close distances, and sacrificed defensive positioning for offensive advantage. "You can't teach an old pilot new tricks," one Voskar pilot muttered. Nari smiled. "Sir, with respect, you're not learning tricks. You're learning desperation, because in 72 hours, desperate is all we'll have." The invasion fleet approached steadily, confident in their overwhelming numbers. Their commander, a warlord named Krask, had united the pirate factions under a simple promise. The coalition was weak, and all its riches were theirs for the taking. He had heard stories about the Terminus 7 battle, but dismissed them. One lucky victory didn't make humans dangerous. His fleet was 4 times larger than the force that had retreated from Terminus 7. Nothing could stop them. He was about to learn how wrong he was. The coalition fleet assembled at the Nexus Point, a strategic location where multiple trade routes converged. Admiral Taemin commanded from Earth's flagship, the Indomitable, with Admiral Krentok as his second-in-command. It was an unusual arrangement, a human leading, a coalition veteran supporting, but they made it work. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Hye-Jin reported. "Coalition forces?" "Nervous, but in position. The mixed squadrons are holding formation." Taemin looked at the tactical display. The coalition had 500 ships. The pirates had 200. The numbers favored them, but numbers weren't everything. The coalition ships were better armed, but less experienced. The pirates were veteran raiders who knew how to kill. "Open a channel to all ships, all species, all crews." The channel opened. Thousands of alien faces looked at him expectantly. Vorthons who had questioned his authority, Korthan who barely trusted humans, Voskar who thought mammals were weak, and humans who had given up peaceful lives to fight again. "I'm not going to give you a speech about glory or honor," Taemin began. "I'm going to tell you the truth. This battle will be brutal. Many of us won't survive. The enemy is experienced, ruthless, and motivated by greed. They think we're easy prey." He paused, letting the words sink in. "But they're wrong. Not because we're stronger or tougher, but because we're fighting for something they can't understand. We're fighting for people we love, for homes we want to protect, for a future where our children don't have to be warriors." On coalition ships across the fleet, crews from a dozen species looked at each other. Some had worked together for years. Others had just met. But in that moment, they were united. "Humans taught me something," Admiral Krentok's voice joined the broadcast. "They taught me that victory isn't about the weapons you carry, it's about the reasons you fight. Today, we all fight for the same reason: to protect the innocent, to defend the weak, to show the galaxy that civilized species stand together." The pirate fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their ships filling space with overwhelming numbers. Krask opened a channel, his scarred face appearing on every coalition display. "Coalition fools, you stand no chance against—" Taemin closed the channel. "All ships, attack formation. Let's show them what a real alliance looks like." The battle began. This time, coalition ships didn't fight like coalition ships. They used human tactics mixed with alien advantages. Vorthon ships used their superior armor to shield human vessels. Korthan ships used their crystalline sensors to spot targets for human gunners. Human pilots flew Voskar fighters with a recklessness that terrified and thrilled their crews. The pirates expected an easy victory. They got a nightmare instead. Nari led a mixed squadron through the pirate lines. Her human reflexes combined with Vorthon armor and Korthan sensors. They were unstoppable. Donghyun's boarding parties, now including Voskar warriors and Korthan engineers, swept through pirate ships with combined efficiency. The battle raged for 6 hours. When it ended, the pirate fleet was destroyed. Krask's command ship was captured, the warlord himself killed by a Vorthan marine who had learned human tactics. The coalition forces had won. together. 1 year later, Admiral Taemin retired. He returned to Earth, opened a small restaurant, and tried to find the peace he had sought for so long. But representatives from a dozen species visited him regularly, seeking advice, sharing stories, bringing news from across the galaxy. Ambassador Yuna became the coalition's prime minister, elected by unanimous vote, the first human to hold the position. Sergeant Dong Hyun trained new generations of coalition Marines, teaching them that strength wasn't about species, but about spirit. Pilot Nari commanded mixed squadrons on the frontier, protecting worlds that had never heard of Earth. The galaxy had changed. The species that everyone thought was harmless had taught them all a valuable lesson. The most dangerous creature in the universe isn't the one that looks fearsome, it's the one that chooses mercy but remembers how to fight. And humanity would never forget how to fight.